deflect the sun's rays away from planet Earth?
Exciting, I guess, is the word. I mean, it certainly presents more immediate security challenges and governance challenges in a way that's very different. I mean,
well, I want to come on to those, but I want to explore, first of all, the science of it in terms of how it can work, whether it's feasible, how much it costs. Is SRM, solar radiation management, the path which looks as if it's more viable at the moment?
No, I think it's impossible to say which is better. The fact is they're both different tools that we need to try and manage the overall climate risk, just as is cutting emissions. And there's no way to say that one is better. They do different things in the climate system in different ways.
Explain to me, first of all, though, before we get into the pros and cons of it, how solar radiation management might work.
So, conceptually, it's simple. The Earth is in some kind of balance where we absorb sunlight and we radiate it away as infrared. And what CO2 is doing by warming the climate is making it harder for that infrared to get out. If you reflect away a little more sunlight by adding reflective aerosols, tiny particles, say, to the upper atmosphere.
And how do you do it?
You could do it with aircraft, for example. But doing it is probably not the hard part, but you could use aircraft or other methods to deliver literally tons or millions of tons of very small particles to the upper atmosphere.
One way, sort of spraying them out at a high altitude.
Correct. And one thing this does is to mimic what volcanoes do, at least in some crude way. So large volcanoes put sulfur into the upper atmosphere and those cool the planet.
Again, this Royal Society report that came out in 2009 did suggest that although this type of management might be, solar radiation management might be relatively cheap to deploy and simple in the way that you described it, there are considerable uncertainties, I'm quoting from the report, about their regional consequences, and they only reduce some but not all of the effects of climate change while possibly creating other problems. How far do you recognise that?
Oh, I think that's absolutely correct.
The problem, though, that you could end up with different effects in different parts of the world. I mean, you could, for example, find that although you're reducing the amount of sunlight and the amount, therefore, that the Earth is warming up, rainfall is affected in different ways in different parts of the world.
Absolutely, and again, we've spent a lot of time looking at exactly that and publishing papers on that topic.
Well, and what conclusions have we drawn?
The conclusion is that it's not exactly equal, just like climate change. So
the problem could be that if you ended up having or a country ended up having a scheme whereby they had solar radiation management over their country, but the effect was that the country next door ended up getting a lot less rainfall, which is one of the feared consequences of this, then you could almost end up with a cause for conflict.
Yes, I think this is precisely where the sort of hard geopolitical issues arise. I mean, to put it in a kind of crude way, whose hand is on the thermostat? Essentially, the scientists and technocrats, including myself, I guess, are helping to invent a thermostat. But it's much easier to invent the knob than to figure out who should be in charge of it in the world we have.